Hey guys, we're back. It's Roy McMillan, Landon Hood. You're sitting on the Big Game Hunters podcast, exclusive to the hashtag MagnaOnAir digital network. We have a great show coming to you guys today. We're talking about how you deal with people like us, how you deal with agency recruiters, how you deal with headhunters, search firms, you as a candidate, you as an employer looking to get out of your job. How do we like to be dealt with, Landon? That's the show we're bringing you today. People keep asking, we're seeing all these different things coming at us. You know, you're reading things online. Our candidates are even asking us, you know, how would you like to get my resume? How would you like to get this? And, you know, there's things that drive us nuts. There's things that we love. There's things that we hate. And we want to do a podcast for our audience today, for the people that are watching, to make our lives easier, to make your lives easier. Because at the end of the day, we're here to help as many people get as many jobs as possible with great companies. And the only way can we do that is if they understand our processes and we can understand theirs. So Landon, why don't we tell them?
Well, I mean, you do this long enough, you get the good, you get the bad, you get the ugly of how, you know, sometimes people are approached by recruiters, or sometimes how their interactions in dealing with agency headhunters. Now, agency headhunters sometimes have this stigma about them in certain circles in terms of, they're just out for the commission, or they're just, you know, they're just looking out for number one. They don't understand what I'm doing. And so it's important, you know, and that's a big complaint that candidates have. It's important that when you're dealing with a recruiter that they know what the heck you do, you know, what industry you're in, a little bit, at least something about the industry, and your name, like, is another one too. I've had horror stories of them not understanding your name. You know, oftentimes people get bombarded through a variety of different methods, texting, whatever, social media, LinkedIn even, and they'll say, hey, for instance, I have a sales job in your area for you, and it's just so general, and it seems like they're just blasting it out to everybody. It
seems like they don't know.
Yeah, so if you're going to get in contact with a recruiter, you can say you're interested in the opportunity, because oftentimes they do have great opportunities for you. Ask them questions. Make sure, and what a very important thing for me is, do they have a relationship with the client?
Yeah.
There's a lot of let's say, you know, fishers out there that
don't even know who their clients are.
They don't even know who their clients are. It might not be their client. They might not have a relationship with that firm. They might just be, you know, sometimes they'll misrepresent themselves. Sometimes they'll just say they have vague opportunities and they're just fishing for resumes. This can be a situation. So make sure they have a relationship with the client, and not
make sure they have the job.
Yeah,
that's any of this stuff. Make sure they actually have a physical job, an actual assignment that the client's giving them. If I was a candidate, I'd also ask, have you made any previous placements with that client before? That's the big thing, right? Really, do you have a relationship with them? Are you going to send my resume to them? Actually, you know what? I don't want you to send my resume to them. So you also want to make sure that you specify if you want your resume to be sent to that client, or you don't want your resume to be sent to that client, because there is there is agencies, there is search firms out there that will just send your resume energy, spray and pray you all over the internet. That's just not what we do here. So I think it's very important that you, the candidate, ask these specific questions, right? Like who the hiring manager is, who's your customer, you know, what would you like from me in order to make this happen? Do I actually meet what your client's looking for? Do I actually meet the requirements? This is what I've done. And it's important for you to go over this with your agent with your recruiter that you're partnering with.
Very early. And, don't waste your time setting up, a long conference call if you don't have all that information, or a long meeting if you don't have that information. And, it's important that, the most value a recruiter can bring to you is not just, presenting an opportunity, presenting the job description.
That's right.
Sending contact details and then stepping away. If the best recruiters out there will understand the values of the organization, will understand that the nitty gritty, the stuff that's between the lines of the job description. Yeah. If you meet with a recruiter and you ask questions that are basically and all he can give you is information that's on the job description, that's not the type of recruiter you want to be dealing with. You want to be dealing with somebody who has that relationship, understands what it's going to be like working there, and can really fill you in. And we'll be able to provide that information to you, in a quick way. We'll get back to you. We'll follow up with you.
Because a lot of times when agency recruiters, they'll just send you a resume, but your resume doesn't really speak the whole picture of who you are and what you've done in your accomplishments. You need that headhunter, that recruiter to work for you. Yeah. Right? When you come to us, we're actually assigned to work for you, the candidate, just as much as we are the client, even though we're the middlemen. So you want to say to that recruiter, that headhunter, can you pick up the phone? Can you call that hiring manager and tell them that I have this, and this, which isn't on my resume, which can get me in the door to get me an interview. So it's very important that headhunter that you're working with, or that recruiter, can pick up the phone, speak to their client, engage the client, and speak to them in depth, articulately, intelligently about who you are, about your positions, where you've worked, what you've done, your career accomplishments. You have your options as a candidate, which recruiter, which headhunting firm you choose to work with, and you better make sure that you work with a company that's got your best interests in mind that's going to represent you in the most professional way.
Absolutely. And that's key in terms of having the relationship with a client, in terms of being able to provide that inside information that, you're not walking in blind. You're not walking into a job interview blind. And so, I know a lot of the top talent out there can get bombarded by recruitment companies, can get absolutely pestered. And so sometimes they just wash their hands of it, but it's important to see it from the perspective of, are you open to new opportunities? Always be open to the new idea. If you're very happy, if you're set, if you see yourself being with your career for this company in your career for the rest of your life, that's fine. But, we would be out of business if people didn't.
I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy where I'm at right now. I'm just going to stay here. No problem. Right. But even though you get bombarded all the time, and there's definitely that pool of candidates that gets bombarded, 80% of the time, 90% of the time, and then there's that small select few that doesn't get bombarded too often, and oftentimes always calls you back. Even for the bombarded people, you need to still make sure that you get back to the people, because you just never know.
Yeah,
right. You never know.
You can separate the wheat from the chaff too. If you have somebody reaching out to you that, as we said earlier, who doesn't really tailor their message, or when you talk to them, it doesn't seem like they understand what you do or how you do it. You don't have to deal with that. But if somebody presents an educated message or conversation with you, and seems like they know what they're talking about, and it seems like it could be a potential good opportunity, it's always good to be open to it.
And look for the canned messages that you get too as well, whether it be on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I wouldn't really respond to those. Like, you want it to be customized. You want them to know that they've actually physically looked at your profile, looked at who you are, understand your background and experience. But for the high percentage of people that get targeted, or in matter of fact, anyone that gets targeted, they need to get back to the recruiters. They need to get back to the headhunters, right? It doesn't hurt to give them a quick call and find out a little bit more about the position, a little bit more about the company, because all we're going to do is educate you on a potential opportunity, whether you're interested in or not. And even if it isn't for you, you might know somebody. You might have a friend, a family member, a relative, whatever it may be, that maybe come to you 3-4 months ago, or a month ago, or within the last week or so, and said, "Hey man, I'm on the market again. Do you have anything for me?" Everyone wants to help everyone get ahead, and I think you should answer the call. That call should end very quick if you're dealing with someone that doesn't know what they're talking about, and that's what we found a lot in our industry. They don't know the job, they don't know what they're talking about, they have no idea what's going on. They don't even know who the customer is, they don't know how big, how large that organization is. So cut those calls really quick. Just be polite. Listen, I'm going to move on. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and move on with your day. But going back at it, I think that they most people should get back in contact with us, because we're only doing things that are only going to potentially help them get ahead in their career, or present them with something that they've never heard before. It's not something you have to do, but if you're open to listen, then let's go.
And we're talking a lot about candidates here that might get messaged a lot and might have a ton of experience, and that's one way of dealing with recruiters. Now, if you're on the other end of the spectrum, you might be early in your career, you're never getting messages from recruiters, and you want to approach a recruiter and you'd love to be in contact with them. There's other things to look at.
But if you're a great candidate, or any candidate, and you're getting approached about an opportunity, you got to make sure that you work with a recruiter that will work on your time.
Yes.
You're busy, you're producing. They have to respect that. They have to understand that, and they have to work on your time. You say, listen, I'm working right now, but I could potentially have a conversation at 6 a.m. in the morning, 7 a.m. in the morning, or even later in the evening when you've left work. They have to work on your time. If they're not willing to give you the time of day, or after reaching out to you and working on your time, then just get rid of them. Move on to the next recruiter.
Any recruiter should always be available at all times for their candidates and for their clients, because that's the nature of the business, right? You're not going to be able to get in contact with a lot of people over the course of the business day. And if a recruiter says, "Oh, sorry, 5 o'clock, I'm out. Take my lunch pail, I'm gone. I'll see you at 9 a.m." Like, that's going to be an issue, right? You don't want to have somebody like that. So, if you're going to reach out to a recruiter, make sure he's available all the time. He or she is available all the time. Make sure that they, if you are approaching them about an opportunity and you say, "Hey, I'm new. I just graduated. I'm looking for entry level role in HR," something like that. Make sure that they do have opportunities for you. Don't just set up, as we said, don't just set up the meeting and talk about your resume and talk about what you want to do. And make sure before you set up that meeting, say, "Hey, this is what I'm looking for. Do you have opportunities out there for me?" Because you can. It's not a terrible waste of your time to speak with a recruiter. But if there's recruiters out there that have jobs for you at all times, entry level, whatever. So find one that does. If you're going to meet with a recruiter, there's so many out there.
Ask before you go, and that's why we're doing this podcast, to help you and not waste your time. Is ask the recruitment company, "Do you have a physical job right now for me? Is there anything in your pipeline that you have or potentially could have coming down the road?" Don't just go in because they're telling you to come in to go meet with them. I don't think that's the best use of your time. You're better off going once you know that there's assignment, once they have everything solidified with their client, and there's actually a physical position there. Send your resumes in Word and PDF. Don't go sending them in Pages, because some recruiters, some headhunters don't have the functionality to switch them over from Pages to PDF in Word. You want to make the recruiter's life just as easy as we're trying to make your life, to streamline the process as fast as possible. And you want to make sure that recruiter, if you feel that you're strongly qualified for that role, that recruiter, that headhunter, that employment agent can get you in front of that decision maker, so you can at least meet with them and speak with them and voice your valuable experience that you can bring to that organization that we're representing.
Yeah. That's the bottom line.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for checking in. We're bringing you shows like this each and every week. We just want to help as many people as possible. We want to help you in your career. We want to help you in business. People will agree with what we're saying. People will disagree with what we're saying. But we're giving you this free content to help. Inside information to help as many people as possible. Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot more that we can expand on this podcast, but we're running out of time today. Make sure you guys check us out on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, subscribe to our network, share it with everyone that you know. If you know someone looking for work or in the job market, or even yourself, you're not happily employed, check out this podcast. We'll be there for you. All right, guys, see you next week.
Boom, boom.